everyone, it's Mags here again, and today I'm going to be using the Sentro 48 needle machine, and I'm going to try and make a hat and a scarf out of this nice double knit acrylic wool. So come with me. What I'll do is I'll do 100 rows for the hat. So you start with your white needle and you put a tail down, you hook it under the white needle, you go over the next needle, then under the next needle, making sure it doesn't drop off the white needle like it just has. Right over, under, over, under. Pull that down a bit to keep it on. Over and under, all the way around till you get back to your white needle, and the needle before the white one, it should be over the needle, not under it. And if it's not, then you've done something wrong and you need to cast on again. Keep going round, over and under. I did try with a different wool, but the wool just wasn't playing, just would not stay on the needles, it kept dropping off. Right, so hopefully this wool will be fine, and as I say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on knitting till I get to 100. Once I get to the point where if I feel it's hitting the table and it's going to affect the tension and the loops, then I'll show you what I do with that. But I'm going to carry on knitting. I will, once I get to 15 rows, I put ordinary common pegs on to keep the tension. So I put a peg each quadrant of the wool where the pins are, so that you keep the body of the wool's tension the same. So I'm going to carry on now and do all of those rows. So that's one. And once I get to putting the pegs on, I'll come back and show you, and then I will show you what you do when it starts to hit the table. So I'll be back. Right, I've done 15 rows, and now what I do is I attach the pegs to each quadrant. 1, oops, 2, 3, 4. As I say, it's each quarter, and that will keep the wool tension right all the way around the barrel. Okay, so I have got to 63 rows, 63 rows, and what I'm going to do now is I am going to show you what you do once it gets this long. You go into the middle and you pull it up and roll it like so. So they're rolling it on itself, and that will provide the weight you need to keep the tension even on the top here. So I shall carry on for the next, what is it, 47 stitches or 37 stitches till I get to 100, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to take it off. Okay, we've come to, oops, let me get back in. We've come to the 100th row, which I have already knitted. Oops. So now I need to cast off. So you cut the length of your yarn, pull it over, you want the very last stitch to be knitted down, so turn it till it's down, then get your wool darning needle to thread. And then you start to cast off. So you cast off the first one, which was your white needle. Always pull it as flat to the panel as you can to avoid dropping stitches or pulling stitches off your next needle, which you don't want to do. You take it slow at first doing this. Then when you feel confident, you can start taking off more than one at a time by moving it forward, keeping your finger on the ones that you've done, taking the next one off like so, and the next one. Okay, and then pulling it through all of them. So just carry on going all the way around, and I'll come back when I get to the end so that you're not bored to tears watching. We've got this far. I've cast it off and I'm pulling it lengthways, widthways, so that you get the stitches all nice and even. And you do exactly the same thing you did for doing a bear or some kind of plushie. You yarn it all together at the ends, make sure it's all nice and neat, then tie it off by stitching round it to secure the ends. All the way round. Oops. Once you've gone all the way round, you then loop it to tie it off, like so. Pull it, another one, like so, loop it, pull it, then put it through the middle of the work. And pull it through. So you want to get hold of it, pull it through to the other end. And then you want to yarn this, tie this one off, draw it together. Just the same way. Make sure it's all tucked in nice so it becomes neat. Tie both ends together to secure them. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 'Stitch around so that it stays nice and secure. You don't need all this wool. And just to ensure that it's nice and secure on the top. You can do a little loop just to give it an extra little bit of security, like so. Oops. Like so. And then hide that inside the work. Try and put it inside. Like so. Cut it off. Pull it all out. And there's your little hat. I'm probably going to put a little bobble on the top. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to see if I can try and put that colour bobble. It depends if this this wool is any good for doing bobbles, because I did have one similar, and when I tried to cut the bobble, all of it just fell apart. So I'll have to see if it's not, then I'll choose another type. And so that's like that, and you just put the little, and this is quite a small hat, so it's could be for a child or for someone with a smallish head. So that's the hat, and I'm going to do the scarf in the same colour. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, except I'm doing 200 rows for the scarf. So I'll come back once I've done the 200 rows, and I'll show you what you do with the scarf to finish that off. So I've done 200 rows. I've sewn up one end, and I'm going to sew up this end and make sure that they're straight. So get to this end and just simply keep sewing up the loops to close it. Make sure you get hold of every loop. And I'm going to put some tassels on the end. And just keep going through every loop. Oops. I'm going to take my machine off. Ooh. Right, let's leave that. Put that on there because it's heavy. And these are pretty small, so I think they're probably child size. If you want the hat to be bigger, do more rows. Same with the scarf. If you want the scarf bigger, do more rows. Alternatively, you could do a drop stitch, in which case you only need to do 100. Or if you want a really long scarf in drop stitch, 150. And you drop every other stitch. I'll do a drop stitch scarf for you, just to show you what I mean. But you basically knit it the same from the beginning, and then you secure your cast on edge, because you obviously don't want the stitches to drop all the way down to the bottom. So you secure your cast on, doing pretty much what I'm doing here to capture all the loops, except what you can do is you can either have it drop stitch like this, or you can do the drawstring and pull the end of the cast on row in and then sew around that, and that'll secure your stitches. And then what you do is when you're doing the cast off, you cast one off, drop one off, cast one off, drop one off, and when you take it off the machine, you then stretch the wool until all of the cast off rows are down at the bottom, so it goes the length of the actual scarf, and that's why it makes it a lot longer. So I'm going to finish doing this, and then I'll come back because I want to put some tassels on. Okay, I've made a pom-pom. It's easy to make a pom-pom. All you do is you wrap the wool around your hand 90 times, trying to keep it as evenly as possible. Then you wrap wool over it, not into it, over it. You take it off, you tighten it, which is what I've done there. So that was the wool that was all wrapped. I put the piece of wool over it and tightened it, and then you cut into it like so, and you just keep shaping it until you're happy with the size and look of it, and I'm happy with that. And then what you do is you sew it onto your hat. Now should I use this wool? I think I'll use this wool, since this wool is, it's going to be a nightmare to put in these needles, but we'll have a go. It's a bit hairy, this wool. But it's in. So using one of your tied off bits, you put it through the centre, pull it through, check how it looks. That looks pretty centred. Sew it through. Gathering it, making sure that you're getting hold of the wool on the pom-pom and the wool on your hat. Let me check that looks okay. Looks alright. Just keep securing it in because you don't want it falling out all the way through, out that way. Then loop it, pull it tight, do it again, loop it. Oh, lost my end. Let's do that again. Right, once more just to make sure it's nice and tight and attached to the top of the hat. Pull it through, loop it. You can loop it going backwards to make sure you get it through. Pull it tight and then cut it off. I'm just going to cut that one off. There we are. Still a bit fluffy. So there we are, we have the hat and we have a little pom-pom on top. If you don't think it's centered properly, then what you can do is you can go through and put a couple of stitches through just to keep it more secure. I'm quite happy with that. I think once it's on your head it'll stay put. So that's the hat, and what I'm going to do, and this is all the loose bits. That's the trouble with doing pom-poms, you end up with lots of loose bits. Let's see if I've got a bag here I can put them into. I'll take the bag from this. Ooh, these are all the bits I've cut off. Now what I'm going to do for the scarf is I'm going to use this brown wool so that we have a match with the scarf and the hat, and I am going to put tassels. So tassels are easy. It's easy when you know how. I'll see, I might put 10 tassels on each side. So what you do for that is you get the wool, cut it like so, get the loop you want to put it through. You may have to use the needle for this, because obviously it's quite thick wool, this. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to use the needle to put this through. So you can put it through like so, and then what you do is you loop it, then you've got to get the needle out, so I'm not going to be able to use the needle, am I? Oh, I'll have to come back. I managed to do it using the needle, but what I've done is I have looped it through and pulled it back through the same loop to take the needle off, which I will show you now what I did. And as I say, I'm probably going to do about 10 on each one. So I'll put that through so I get it through the loop like so. And then I put the needle back this way and loop it back through the same hole. And that way it's still attached to the wool, but I can pull it off. And then you put that through there, and that makes your tassel. Obviously at the end, once you've done all your tassels, all these fluffy bits of brown. So that's 2. Let's have a look. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm going to put 10 on. So once I've done that, I'll come back and show you. Once you put them on, you then cut them all to the same length, and that's your scarf completed. There we go. That's the hat and the scarf done. So I put the little bobble on the hat, and I've put the tassels on the scarf, and you saw how I did them. I looped them all through, cut them to the same size, and that's your scarf and your hat all done. You can do different colours on the hat, on the scarf and the hat. You can just change your wool as you go along to have them in different colours. Little squares if you want to keep changing different wools at different parts of the machine. And that's just a little plain one that's quite a small hat and scarf. So it's probably more child sized. If you want it to be for an adult, you just increase the number of rows that you do so that the scarf and the hat goes further down the body. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you liked the little scarf and hat. And please join me next time. Please consider subscribing and leave me some comments of anything that you'd like me to make. So until next time, bye bye.